There's a story behind the landscape wherever you go. All you have to do is ask the people that live around there for centuries, basically the Aboriginal people, and get the true story. Each tribe come from a culture of their own. They have their own language, they have their own ways of life, their own ways of philosophy on how to look upon the land. And the interpretation of this place, the Grand Canyon, each one of them has their own story. It's not like the movie Vacation, where the family goes across the country and they jump out of a car, take a quick look, and jump back in the car. Off they go to the next spot. And they get to the Grand Canyon and they look down inside and then they jump back in the car and they're gone. To really understand and interpret the land, you need to focus and observe and take it in, and then your thoughts, and then whether you call them God, Creator, or whatever, to give you the wisdom to truly understand that this is a blessing. All creation is something that Apache people believe in. They believe that everything is a living entity. The reason why it's a living entity is because the creator of these things is a living entity. And just as the painter puts himself into a painting, the creator, through his creation, gives it life. If you really observe it and take it all in, I think the only way I can say it takes your breath away. And that's what the Grand Canyon is. You come, you drive across the flat, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're there. And then you just look at how big, how long. The colors, all of these things. And you appreciate the immensity of it, and that man is really just a part of it. We're a very minute part of this whole thing. But yet in our own life, we're also creations of wonder too. We began life because of 2 cells. And these cells grow, and the color of our hair, our eyes, and so you reflect on those things. And that's where you become one. You are now part of the land, because the land is you also. Your perfection.
The Grand Canyon is an important spiritual place for my people. This is a place of prayer, not just for my Zuni people, but other tribes that call this home, because this is our home. This is where our ancestors emerged from Chimikanakatea at Ribbon Falls and have resided here since time immemorial. We as Ashiwi have done pilgrimages to Kutninanalak for many generations. We have not abandoned these places, as the archaeologists say.
Grand Canyon is not just a tourist attraction. It's actually a very holy place, a very sacred place. That's where we go to do ceremony and prayer. So it's a church in itself. The Hopi have had connections with the Grand Canyon for thousands of years. Ceremony is done there to bless all things, to help the waters, the rocks, everything that's there.
This is where we emerge from. And this is our home. And then when we leave this world, this is where we come back to. So this is the place of emergence and the place where we rest for eternity.
My name is Diana Sue White W. Kuala. I am a traditionalist for the Havasupai people. I do come from in the Grand Canyon, a tributary that is called Supai Village. This is where I am living at the moment, and that is my home. We are the watchers of this place. I am part of the stone. This is the red ochre that I wear. This is who I am. I am this canyon. My ancestors before me are this canyon. The children that are going to come are this canyon.
Yana yo, yana yo, Wilmana, yana yo.
This land remembers us. It knows us. It knows our people. It knows who my great-great-grandfather was. It recognizes who I am, where I come from. I want to thank my ancestors, my great-great-grandfather, Chikwitus. They had first contact with the pioneers and the white people that came across. They had so much misery, suffering, loss that you look at the old pictures and you just see the sorrow and everything in their faces. So everything that they went through and suffered, I'm still here. I am their legacy. And I try to be in a good place, in a good way, to make them proud from all their loss. You know, they lost a whole lot. They lost children, they lost their food, they lost their homelands.
And the Southern Paiutes painted every day. They painted their face, they painted their body. And because we painted every day, it was a restriction that you couldn't paint your face anymore. And so it got to the point where it was just, we weren't allowed to. But I'm proud to paint my face today. Any place I go, I'll put a mark on myself to show our ancestors that I'm Southern Paiute and I'm still here.
Being a Native person, we live in two different worlds. We live in the Euro-American world that was created, but we also live in our world, our traditional spiritual world. So finding that balance was the utmost important thing for me to do to help people understand who we are as Southern Paiutes, but also who we are as Native American people. And so one of the ways I do that is through the work of the garden. Working in the garden is amazing. It has solidified a cultural connection for me to the importance that plants play for Southern Paiute people within our culture. One of my favorite plants to work with is the amaranth. This is Paiute amaranth. And so this is an ancient grain. Our brothers and sisters that are south of the border have a connection to this plant as well. Proves the connection that we have as Native people in the Southwest, that our seeds have traveled up and down through each other. These growing talents and habits have traveled through one another. And just being able to be a part of that big circle that dates back so many eons is amazing, and it's so gratifying. I don't think that there's anything more special than I felt than putting a seed in the ground and watching it grow into a plant. I think a connection that all of the tribes of the Grand Canyon consider is that the canyon is powerful. We all share that heartfelt feeling that this place is a bigger part of us as a whole, and it feeds our spirits. It helps us connect to who we are as tribes of the canyon.
It was always known by our ancestors that we share this place. They realized the power of this place and that the world should see it. We give them the gift of rebalancing themselves in this time to catch their breath and realize we're only a small piece of the puzzle of this world. Once we put all these pieces together, to me, it's the healing of this world, the universe. Everything is a part of everything else. My family is originally from here. This is my home. And in the generations that I bring and I teach, I always remind them this is your home. It's not legally put on paper or signed in a document, but I said this is our home and we take care of it. My oldest grandson, he was really young, and I told him when I brought him up here, I said, this is your home. Habsu Baja, Waujo, Wakiapecho is our home. Some years later, we were riding along and he told me, he said, he named my name and he said, this is our home. And I said, thank you. You remembered. Don't ever, ever forget this is your home.
We were collecting mesquite beans, and that comes from a mesquite tree. And usually when it's really hot, they get kind of dried up and really plump. So we're looking for the plumpest mesquite beans to eat and suck on because they're actually really sweet, like a honey. That's why it's called the honey mesquite. Sometimes when they're dried up, we grind them down into making them into a flour. So that's what we use to make different types of cakes and breads. Knowing where your roots is a strong part of who someone is. And just knowing that I came from the people that explored the canyon and walked up and down its walls and even knew every inch of all the trails and everything was just... It overwhelmed me a bit, but it also made me really proud. And to kind of see it for myself, the old trails and going on the river trip and seeing the really old pieces of wood, and that's what they would use to walk across. Just knowing that there was someone there that was physically walking across and just climbing different places where I never think I would climb, you know, is a surreal feeling.
As an interpretive park ranger here at Grand Canyon, I provide park programs for park visitors, and my park program focuses on the 11 indigenous tribes who call this canyon home. In my program, I like to focus on how us as tribal members connect to this landscape here. And it's commonly referenced by tribal members as a living landscape because we connect to these areas in a spiritual sense, an emotional sense, mental, ceremonial, medicinal, and the list goes on. I would like park visitors to know that indigenous people have always been here and continue to be here today.
We want to make sure that we are a part of the information, the voice for the canyon. We want to make sure that this place is open for our way of life because we've always been the Zuni people, Ashiwi, and we haven't changed our way of life. Our way of life is what we acquired from down here, and we still have it in Zuni.
National Park Service has been working on a visitor center over at Desert View, and that's really our indigenous contact for visitors. And what we want to educate visitors on is visit with respect to the Grand Canyon. Navajo has always been here. You know, we didn't come across the Bering Strait. We've always been here, and we continue to be here, and our voices connect to these places, and it connects to the past, the present, and the future.
I am here today because the Grand Canyon National Park has changed the name from Indian Gardens to Havasupai Gardens. And I am here today to represent my family and my community to say thank you for doing that for our people. I feel it's a very important step towards the future, so that our children can always remember the ancestors that lived here and roamed the canyons. My great-great-grandfather's name was Captain Burro. That was a name given to him by the military because he showed so much strength and leadership for his community and his people. And Havasupai Gardens here was a place that he lived and gardened and sustained his family and his community for many years. And he was the last one to be asked to leave this canyon, along with many families. But he resisted, and he just stayed and didn't want to leave this beautiful valley, this beautiful canyon. And he was forced to leave, and he died soon after that. I believe his heart was broken when he was asked to leave this home. I think he would be very happy that I'm here today and that we are finally allowed to come home to our place here that was once called our home. Now it's called our home. A long struggle of my people was very painful, but it's also the beginning of a healing. We are now known to be Havasupai that once lived here in Havasupai Gardens. And that made me very proud and very happy to be here today.
The Grand Canyon is a very special place. 11 tribes still consider it the birthplace of their people. And that's a lot of heart, that's a lot of spirit, that's a lot of energy for groups of people to still believe and continue to teach their children, to continue to teach the public. And that energy, that's eons of history that have created the Grand Canyon, that created those people, that have drawn you here, the visitor, to come here to the Grand Canyon. And I hope that in either the trails or the rocks, the nature, maybe even the weather, sunsets, sunrises, what you've been able to experience here, that you could take some of that magic home with you, that you might be able to use some of that energy to become inspired again. Use that inspiration to maybe pick up something that you've just been thinking of doing, or writing again, or something that you used to do. I think that the time is now to go ahead and move forward. You're here, you're experiencing it, and if you could just be open to it, I think that you'll be able to bring a little piece of that in your heart when you go home.